Hi everyone, today I'm doing a review of the Cruzerlite Androidified A2 case and the TUDIA Ultra Slim Melody. This is the TUDIA and this is the Androidified A2 case. I don't normally make videos and I don't have a bunch of special video equipment. I'm just basically going to throw this together in one quick go and throw it up there because I wasn't able to find any reviews. So I bought both of these because I was looking for a bumper, or case rather, that was pretty slim, didn't add a lot of weight or size to the phone, but would still protect my Nexus 5 from drops or spills that it might take. And I saw a video, which I'll link in the description, for this case where someone went and did a whole bunch of drop tests and the phone came out just fine. And looking at it, looked like it was going to be pretty thin, so yeah, I was interested in taking a look. But looking at the TUDIA, it also looked interesting and seemed like it actually might be better. I wasn't kind of a fan of the big Android on the back of the Cruzerlite, so I just decided to order both and see which one I like. So going into it, looking at the TUDIA Melody, it's really flexible kind of rubber TPU material, which I like. I didn't want a hard case, so it's really bendable, really flexible. They have the little nice insignia on the inside. And same with the Cruzerlite, it's also very bendable. The feel between the two is pretty similar. Wouldn't surprise me if they're made of the exact same material. So let's go ahead and take a closer look now. Size-wise, height-wise, they seem identical. In fact, all the dimensions for both of them seem pretty much identical. I guess I'd put them on top of each other. Yeah, so they're pretty identical, pretty close to each other. Really, the only differences between the two, I would say, is the design on the back. Some of the material is different. For instance, this is kind of a high gloss, whereas this isn't. This is more matte. And so while we're on that subject, actually, I actually like the back of this better. The design looks a little bit cooler than the Android, for me at least, although that's up to personal preference. But the matte, the matte material on the back means you're not going to leave fingerprints, whereas on the back of this, let's see, it's probably hard to see, catching the light a little bit, but yeah, it definitely leaves some fingerprints, which is just unattractive for me. Whereas the back of this, you know, no matter how I turn it, you're not going to see any fingerprints. So that's kind of a plus for me. Aside from me liking the design of the back, no fingerprints was always a plus. So now talking about buttons. So the Cruzerlite has cutouts instead of actual buttons, which means that your Nexus 5 buttons are going to kind of be poking out through here. So then you'll be pressing the actual button on the phone itself. We could look at the top, and actually the tops on both of them are the same. And here's the cutout for the power button, and the backs for both of them are identical. So yeah, the power button has a cutout, so again, you're going to be pressing against the actual power button. Aside from that, the only other meaningful difference is this has ridges right here, whereas the Melody doesn't have any ridges. And I guess it has the higher floss material here, which may provide some fingerprints as opposed to the matte on the back. But for me, it's not as big of a deal. If I had to choose between the ridges and no ridges, I actually kind of felt like the no ridges provided better grip, as odd as that seems. This kind of just feels really hard, whereas this actually has a little bit of friction to it. So the Melody, it actually has a button, although it doesn't look like my phone's going to focus very well. But it has a button. I mean, it's not really a button, it's just all one plastic piece, and they just make it look like it's kind of a button. Don't think my phone's going to focus. Yeah, so if we look at the inside, as you can see, yeah, it's just all one piece of plastic that they basically molded slightly differently. Same with the power buttons on the exterior. It's just all one piece of plastic that just happened to be molded a little bit differently. So that means it's going to be sitting on top of the buttons. I'm going to cut and then put my phone in each of them and then talk about it a little bit and then come to a conclusion. So here I go, I got my Nexus 5 in the Melody. We'll start off with a profile view. So as you can see, the lens does not stick outside the back of the case. It is recessed enough. The fit is tight. In fact, the fit on both cases is, I would say, pretty much identical. So really, the only difference I want to go over is these buttons. So you can feel the button with your thumb as you move over it. It's obvious that it's there, so you know where it is. I'd say it's maybe slightly more harder to press than just the phone itself. There is a little bit of a gap that you can feel, but overall not too bad. And I haven't messed around with the volume buttons much. I guess I should have to unlock the phone. Alright, and so yeah, it feels, you know, maybe a little bit worse than just the phone itself, but not too bad. I'm able to function with it pretty good. So yeah, so feels good, grip is good on it, all the ports fit nicely, but the same for the ports are the same for both phones. Really the only difference I'd say between both of these is the look on the back and the way that the buttons function. So now I'm going to look at the Cruzerlite, and I'll be back. Alright, so here's the Cruzerlite Androidified A2 case, and we'll start off and show you that the camera lens is recessed in the case, so no worry about scratching it up when it's perfectly flat on its back. The top and the bottom are identical to the other case. Really the only other difference is the cutouts for the volume rocker and for the power button. Really, because of the way it's designed, the power button's actually going to be flush with the case, with that side and with this side. And same with the volume. The power button's going to be flush with that side of the plastic or TPU case and that side of the TPU case. As a result, it is a little bit harder to press than the TUDIA. So I've found that it requires about double the pressure to press the button, but it's still doable. You can still do it. It just requires a little bit more effort, up, down, just a little bit more effort, but about twice the pressure to turn it on and turn it off as compared to the other case. However, as a summary, because the cutouts, I do have to apply more pressure, and I get fingerprints on the back of this case, and I don't really like the design compared to the matte design of the TUDIA Melody. I'm gonna go with the TUDIA. So hope this was helpful to someone else, and that's it.